Tonight, the Republican-led Senate is expected to officially confirm Judge Amy Coney Barrett as the newest Supreme Court justice, as we've been just talking about. Her nomination process has been marred by intense partisan division, which extended onto the Senate floor Sunday and into this morning. Democrats, powerless to stop the all but certain confirmation, held hours-long speeches arguing against Barrett's confirmation, especially in the final days ahead of the presidential election.
It is my belief that Judge Barrett represents a threat to the very rights, including reproductive rights, rights of LGBT individuals, and voting rights that Justice Ginsburg worked so hard to protect.
This is something to really be proud of and to feel good about. We made an important contribution to the future of this country. A lot of what we've done over the last 4 years will be undone sooner or later by the next election. They won't be able to do much about this for a long time to come.
So Nancy Cordes is following everything and joins us now with the latest. Nancy, just walk us through sort of the basics. What's expected to happen this afternoon and this evening, and when will the confirmation become official?
So you'll see a lot more today of what you've seen over the weekend, which is Democrats and Republicans debating on the Senate floor. Democrats talking about how unfair this is, what a travesty it is, a rush to confirm a justice in a very haphazard way. And then you'll have Republicans arguing, as Mitch McConnell did there, that this is truly a highlight of their time in the majority, and that they have every right to move ahead with this confirmation. And then tonight, probably around 7:30, 8 p.m. Eastern, the time for debate will run out, and the Senate will finally hold this confirmation vote for Amy Coney Barrett. And there's not a lot of mystery about how it's going to come down. It is probably going to be a 52-48 vote in favor of confirming Judge Amy Coney Barrett, who will then become Justice Amy Coney Barrett once she's sworn in. All but one Republican appear to be set to vote for her, and Susan Collins of Maine most likely joining all of the Democrats in voting against her.
Nancy, as you know, we've been reporting that Vice President Mike Pence is expected to preside over the Senate for tonight's vote, despite several of his top aides testing positive for COVID-19. Democrats have criticized this move, but are there any Republicans raising the alarm? I mean, you know, you've got Chris Christie now, as you know, Nancy, who was infected with COVID-19 and was really sick and was in the hospital for quite some time. He's written an op-ed saying that, you know, he should have taken it more seriously. So you don't want people to get sick and to potentially be, you know, at death's door before they decide to change their mind. But do we know if there are any Republicans that are sort of saying, well, maybe this is great. We've got this confirmation and we've got this justice that we really, really wanted on the Supreme Court of the United States, but maybe we don't need to all cram into the Senate chambers with somebody who's been potentially exposed to somebody else with COVID-19 for what is now really, you know, a sort of a done deal.
They certainly haven't been saying it publicly. They will be able to keep some distance from him because he'll be up on the dais. They'll be down on the Senate floor voting. And Republicans can understand why Vice President Pence might want to be there. He's the former governor of Indiana. Amy Coney Barrett is from Indiana. He's a religious conservative. She is a religious conservative. He's extremely proud of her nomination. On the other hand, there's no reason that he has to be there. He does not most likely need to break a tie, which is the traditional role of a vice president. As I said, it's going to be most likely a 52-48 vote, so his vote won't be needed. It's really more of a ceremonial decision to come and preside over this big vote. But no, I'm sure that probably Democrats and Republicans alike wouldn't have a problem with him staying away, and you're likely to hear a lot from Democrats on the Senate floor today about the fact that they think that this is just one more reckless move by the Trump administration after holding all of these rallies and Vice President Pence continuing to campaign despite his very closest aides contracting coronavirus.
Let me ask you this. The chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham, is facing sort of a major political battle. He's facing an opponent that's giving him probably the first real challenge of his political career, an opponent that's outraising him by many millions of dollars. Yet he chose to skip the final debate in South Carolina in order to work on this confirmation. Clearly a confirmation that kind of doesn't need work. Like you pointed out, the votes are there. It's going to happen. Why would someone like Lindsey Graham and other Republicans prioritize this confirmation to this degree?
Well, in this case, logistically, he just couldn't be in both places at once. He had to preside over a final vote in the Judiciary Committee on Thursday morning, so it wasn't really possible for him to be debating in South Carolina on Wednesday night. But I think for Lindsey Graham in particular, at a time when it is so difficult to campaign, presiding over this committee during these high-profile hearings is kind of the next best thing. It's obviously a very high-profile role, and he has been talking about South Carolina in the Judiciary Committee every chance he gets, and sending a message to conservatives back in South Carolina, hey, look what I'm doing for you. I'm adding another conservative justice to the Supreme Court. I have this power because I am the chair of the Judiciary Committee. Now, that's obviously not necessarily going to endear him to moderates, certainly not to Democrats in his state, but as we've seen throughout the country, for these Senate incumbents, Republican senators who are locked in tough re-election fights, they seem to believe that their path, and in some cases it's a pretty narrow one, their path runs through getting their base to turn out on Election Day, more so than trying to pick up independents. It's just very difficult to do after sticking with President Trump for 4 years. They know that. So they, instead of winning over independents, they need to get every last member of their base out. And clearly Lindsey Graham thinks that presiding over these hearings is one way to do that.
All right. We'll see what happens tonight. Nancy Cordes, as always, we appreciate it, Nancy. Thank you.
You're welcome.